Hello and welcome to the Closomy Commentary Real Football Podcast, the first of 2020. Apologies in advance for a microphone malfunction which ends up making Coz's voice far more distant than it usually is, but other than that, we've got a great show ahead. In between this week's podcast and last week, we've had two Premier League rounds, the FA Cup third round, January signings, managers coming and going, following up Ancelotti and Arteta again, and where would we be without VAR and looking at the rules. All that to enjoy this week, and more, so please sit back, relax, and enjoy the show. So sitting with me today is just me and Coz.
Yep.
It's us two. We had a late minute pull out, but that's okay because we have absolutely so much to get through today. It's because obviously the last time we were here was last year. So happy New Year, everybody! Happy 2020, and new year, new decade, new name.
Yeah.
But we'll start the day off. We'll start the decade off with just some of the stories, and we'll start with this one. Cause actually, do you have anything on your plate that you want to?
On my plate, I do not.
Okay.
No. Things are going well with me and everything. Nothing's really annoying me at the moment.
No. New year, new cause. It's just water off.
No, nothing's changed.
Water off the back.
I'm just waiting until something annoys me.
Well, here's something that speaking of people getting annoyed.
Yeah.
All right.
What do we have?
You know how sometimes a player will say, there'll be a comment made. It's taken completely out of context by reporters,
Happens all the time.
and then they say it to a manager at a press conference, and it just sets. They take it hook, line, and sinker. They take the bait and they react.
Well, but what have you got?
All right. So, Manchester United ex-player Robin van Persie.
Oh, Van Persie, yeah.
Commented on Solskjaer's management. He said,
yeah.
I would like to see him a bit more mean at times. Just be angry. Like he was saying, I see him smiling now after a game like that. This is not the moment to smile. And this is after the Arsenal defeat, right? So he's basically saying, I don't know, it was a question asked to him and he said, I don't like it that he's smiling.
He wants the anger.
Fair enough. Fair enough. All right.
See, now I'm at the point where if you're a manager, you've got to be yourself.
Yeah.
It's not in Solskjaer's.
Yeah, Solskjaer is not an angry man,
he's
is
a
he?
happy man. Right? He may as well be himself. There's no point putting on an act.
Well,
if you're going to get angry legitimately. Don't put on an act just for other people.
Well, you'll be happy to know he did get angry.
He did get. Was it legit though?
Angry Solskjaer came out. Oh, he was annoyed.
At Van Persie or the team?
At Van Persie. So
Here we go.
I don't know Robin,
no,
and Robin
he's attacking his style. Anyway, go on.
All right, here we go. He got what he wanted because I don't know Robin, and Robin doesn't know me.
Ooh.
A defiant Solskjaer told the media.
Yeah, that's true.
He probably doesn't have a right to criticise my management style, and I won't change. That's definite. Yeah, Robin, he took my number 20 shirt, and that's probably all he's going to take from me as well.
So he...
Shots fired.
Well, he didn't like what he said.
No, he didn't.
Because he attacked his character, essentially.
He did.
That happiness trait, I don't know if that's a trait in personality, but that's his character, and he attacked it.
It's part of his soul.
Yeah. No wonder it got offensive.
It cured many people in hospitals.
Yeah, well, that's a joke. that was a good joke. But that's his character. That's why he got upset.
Yeah, and then he just fended off things, talk about agents and Paul Pogba and blah blah blah. But that was the gist of that one.
Well, I think Van Persie got what was coming to him. Really,
he did.
He only took the number 2.
Although he just made a comment on he was just punditing on some.
Yeah, he did.
And he's like, what? I didn't. Out of context, whatever. Too late. Yeah. It's out there. You're gone. Since our last podcast, we had 2 Premier League rounds and most of the FA Cup, the biggest game yet to come. Arsenal is playing Leeds. They're hosting, I think.
Well, it's big for me. As a budding Leeds fan.
Yeah. Well, Leeds are looking very good for promotion. For those who don't know who Leeds are.
Yeah, well, look, go ahead.
The Leeds are currently in the Championship, but they're obviously a big club that should never have gotten relegated, but did because of financial mismanagement, let's call it.
Mismanagement, yeah. And look, with Leeds, as a fan growing up and understanding this football club, it's not over until it's over.
Yeah.
They may look good, like they did last season. They looked good and then they fell away.
They've made a European Cup final.
They have, yeah.
And now they definitely have.
Well, look, it's until it's over, but they're looking good.
They're looking,
So they're top of the Championship table.
It's a bit like Liverpool, but less so because, I mean, the lead isn't as big, but you can sort of depend on Championship sides not catching up that easily. So no one in the Championship is going to win 10 straight.
It's a 9-point gap at the moment. We'll see how we go.
They're even on points with West Brom. They drew with them, actually.
They did draw with them.
But that's
good result, away from home.
But, okay, we'll go with the FA Cup first because it's shorter.
Yeah.
There was Manchester United playing at Wolves, and it was sort of, there's a bit of talk up there because they're two big teams.
It's also very boring.
Well, that's it. They fielded sort of a half first team, half second string sides, and it was a 0-0 draw at Wolves. Neither of them getting through. So that goes to a replay. I don't know when they do the replays, but that's
going to be soon.
Well, they're both in Europa League, so that's not going to do them any favours.
I know, they should have just, spoken to each other before the game. Look, let's just have a result here. There's no point drawing.
That would happen with Italians, wouldn't it, surely?
They do, yeah.
They don't have a second cup competition.
There's different levels of fixing matches.
Yeah.
And that's a common one, where they just agree on a result.
Let's just... I still remember in the Euros when they...
the Euros?
Yeah, when the Netherlands beat Italy and France in the first round, and they could have just lost to Romania to make sure that both those teams got knocked out.
Yeah, but in their fashion,
they kept going.
They couldn't do it.
And the Italians didn't. They were like, "Wow, they should have just lost that game."
So these guys are crazy. I even said that myself. I'm like, why would you not lose that? You're knocking out 2 killers when the knockouts come out. What are you doing?
It didn't matter because they couldn't get past Russia. But Newcastle also played against Rochdale, and they did not win. They drew, and they're also having a replay.
They are, and they've had a very poor record lately, Newcastle, in the FA Cup.
Or just in general.
I think Rochdale's gotten to the 4th round more than them in recent times. So.
And I don't think it's because of
this is a
nice fixture list.
It's a very, very big matchup, this one. Rochdale and Newcastle.
Yeah. It's a shame we couldn't have our Newcastle expert in today, but...
There's a lot of pride on this game for Newcastle.
A lot of pride.
It has to be.
I don't think there was any for him watching.
You can't have a League 2 side who beat you, in the FA Cup. You can't.
Sure you can.
Well, you can. It just happened.
But
you can't accept it.
No, you can't accept it. The most recent game, though, that happened was Liverpool. They played against Everton. They fielded basically a youth side with a few second string players, and against Everton's full team.
Pretty much.
Oh, but wait! Before we get into that game,
yeah.
Massive news in the English Cup, right? Their FA Cup. Sorry, not the English. The French Cup. The French Cup. It's like their FA Cup. PSG went through to the next round.
Did they really?
Yeah.
Was it close?
Well, Liverpool only won 1-0 against Everton, and it was just like, it was. Well, they're just kids. They're basically kids playing against the full strength.
Playing with their daddy.
Yeah, Ancelotti.
He couldn't. You can't.
He didn't deliver on his promise, did he?
Actually, I should apologise to James Milner because in the last show, our friend Deke made that joke that Milner's their dad, and I said that yes, but he could be known as granddad because he's older. I actually looked it up. He's only 33.
Yeah,
I thought he was 38 or something like that. So apologies to James. You're daddy. You're not granddaddy.
Not quite. Yeah, because there's 5 years of the difference.
That is a huge difference.
It's a generation gap.
I thought he was on retirement age nearly, but he's not. So
yeah, he's re-signed, by the way. So he's got a new contract.
He was much older than what he was.
For those who missed that, by the way, that wasn't an accident. We just don't care about PSG.
Yeah,
but
it's going to become a running gag.
But yeah, Liverpool through to the fourth round of the FA Cup, and the draw will be Tuesday morning for us. We'll see what happens then, and then there'll be 16 teams left then. So the fourth round, and then the quarterfinals, I believe.
No, it's the fifth round. So there's.
So fourth round, fifth round, then quarterfinals.
Yeah.
Sorry, 16 fixtures.
Yeah.
Yes. So, but that's still Arsenal and Leeds to go in that one, and it'll be interesting to see what happens there. And we'll swing back now to the Premier League, the games that we've missed out on. So we've been following up on Ancelotti and Arteta. Arsenal, of course. Now, Everton played 2 away games since our last podcast. Arsenal 2 home games, and they've got the same points haul.
Yeah, well, Ancelotti lost his first game, and Arteta won his first game.
Well, first, Ancelotti won again before he lost, and Arsenal lost before they won because we missed 2 games, not just the one game. So the first game was.
They happened in the same match though.
No, so
in the same.
Yeah, well, they reversed their fortunes in the same match day. Yes, Arsenal lost to Chelsea after taking the lead, and then in the second game they beat Manchester United 2-0, and Everton beat Newcastle away from home, much to Newcastle fans' dismay, and then lost to Manchester City away from home, which is absolutely not. Nothing to be ashamed of there. 2-1 as well. They gave them
it was
a run for their money. Yeah. But the biggest story, I guess you could. I mean, they were sort of expected to lose that one. But the biggest story, Arteta winning at home against Manchester United. It was one of those games where you kind of went, well, this is like...
He needed a win.
Yeah.
He did need a win. And because it was getting dangerous for Arsenal. They were close to the relegation zone.
Well, they moved below Everton before that game.
Exactly. So he needed points. He needed to get some points.
And it's getting very tight because, I mean, since our last podcast, there have been some movements in the table.
Just on a side note, I do like his celebrations.
Arteta?
Yeah.
Are they calm or are they full of passion?
They're calm, but passionate at the same time. It's like this thing where it's like
fist pump.
It's like articulated fist pumping. It's like with a method. It's not like
So it's like
and then it's ecstatic but calm at the same time. It's like in that zone. He's
ecstatic, but he's in control.
Yeah,
it's good.
I love it.
I like that, and definitely a lot of potential there. Arsenal fans are having a good time. I don't think. We can go into a little bit today. Arsenal Fan TV, the change over the last few games. So
we've been on to them, haven't we?
Well, after the Everton game, the fans were chanting, "AFTV, get out of our club." So the fans were trying to kick out Arsenal.
AFTV.
Well, AFTV. They're no longer Arsenal Fan TV, but AFTV. We all know what they are. But then in the next game against Chelsea, different tune. They're saying, even though they lost that game, and they took. Well, how do they say it? They
What was the reaction after the Everton game?
After the Everton from Arsenal Fan TV, I don't know because I didn't see Arsenal Fan TV.
In that Chelsea game, there were genuine positives.
Yeah,
weren't there? With the manager change and everything, they're going to give him some time, and there were genuine positives in that Chelsea game. If you take out the fact that
they lost from a winning position,
they did lose, but Jorginho should have been sent off.
Yeah.
And their goalkeeper Leno made a mistake that he rarely made. Like, he's been pretty good this season.
Actually, that Jorginho thing is actually worth going into because
he should have been off.
For people who didn't watch it, Jorginho came on in the second half at some point.
Yeah.
Actually, he completely changed the game in every single way that word.
He was huge.
Could work because
it was his game.
Well,
he owned that game.
Well, Arsenal won the first half 1-0.
Yeah.
And or they scored early in the second. I can't remember. But Arsenal were well on top in that game against Chelsea, but they didn't quite convert their chances.
That was his game.
Yeah.
That's why the ref didn't send him off.
And
This is your game.
it's going to go down in history as Jorginho's game.
Yeah.
Lampard, to his credit, they were on a bad run. They lost
Chelsea,
like
yeah,
five.
They're on dodgy form at the moment. They're still on dodgy form.
And they were 1-0 behind.
Mm.
He tweaked his formation a little bit. We brought on Jorginho, who came on, got a yellow card.
He's a good manager, isn't he?
Yeah,
he's making changes like that and influencing the game.
Yeah, he's actually tweaking.
He's shown to be a crafty manager.
And I mean, like, and he's got all these young kids as well, so
Yeah.
it could easily have unravelled, but he seems to be holding it together still. Even though they got a draw in the next game against Brighton, but they still need to crack the home form.
Brighton's playing well. They're not a bad side.
And
I've watched Brighton. They're not bad.
they are,
Yeah.
but a good side will beat them. And Chelsea are struggling at home still.
They're capable of getting a result.
Yes, definitely.
So they're not bad.
I mean, we still remember that 3-0 result, which basically ended Poch's Tottenham
That's it.
management. But that all aside, the Arsenal game, Chelsea did a they changed the momentum of the game. Jorginho came on, he got a yellow card, and he just sort of, I don't know, he stifled their midfield, and he got what should have been a second yellow card. Absolutely should have been a second yellow card.
I agree with that.
Like both cards were just straight out professional fouls,
Yeah.
both of them, and
Yeah, he only learned those from Italians. Beautifully done.
and the referee didn't give him the second yellow.
Well,
And
it was his game. That's why he didn't give the yellow card.
And true to that, a few minutes later he pops up with the winner. So,
And then he scored.
so it's just...
I just feel like that game was summing up Arsenal's season to that point.
Yeah,
But then luckily for them, they responded.
they did respond.
Man United. They were good against Man United. But at the same time, Man United were poor.
Yeah, they were
So
pretty
I'm not
bad.
sure how much of it is down to Arsenal being good.
Yeah,
Like, how poor were United to make Arsenal that good? Basically?
Yeah.
How
And-
much did that influence Arsenal?
and to be honest, I think part of it is in the Chelsea game. Chelsea had intensity, right? So Arsenal ran out of legs late in the game. Against Manchester United, that didn't happen. But I don't know how much of it was Arsenal controlling the game better, holding the ball, or Man United's playing style just does not involve much running. So it's a lot easier to conserve your energy against Manchester United. They don't press you very high. They tend to sit back.
Well, against the big clubs, they've been sitting back.
Well, that's what I mean.
So if they played that way against Arsenal, then yeah.
Which they did. They were very. I mean, I watched a bit of that game live, and the game was quite cagey, and you could see that like neither team could really string too many passes together. But Arsenal was stringing a lot more passes than Manchester United. But Manchester United were really just sort of like it's like just counterattack. Like it's just like we're not gonna try and hold the ball for too long because something bad might happen. We're going to try a few passes and then send it forward to... Wait, Lukaku's not there. Oh, not there anymore. I can't do it. So, maybe Haaland? No Haaland. No Haaland either. So, I think they're still... They probably need to dip into the market for a holding striker.
Looking like a target man, or just someone that can hold the ball? And
I think they were...
Because it might be useful, because they've got Rashford and Lingard on the wings. And
I think they were looking to get...
if they can get a guy holding the ball up for them, that's...
Well, they were in the market for someone. I think I can't remember, but yeah, there's some player that's sort of not been getting first team game time. I can't remember who it was now, but I don't know how it's going. According to Soccer on Sunday, nobody wants to go there, but I don't think that's entirely true.
No, look, that's pretty gospel, that website. Yeah.
But actually, on that note, on the transfer front, a few things have happened as well.
What's going on in transfers?
Well,
What have you got?
three main ones. Obviously, Minamino went to Liverpool, and he played his first game in the FA Cup. But like that was something that had already happened, but it's official now.
He made his debut.
Yeah, he made his debut. The big one involving the Premier League, which is why I bring this up, is Haaland. He did not go to Manchester United, as was... Apparently he spent a bit of time there. There's this talk about his agent, Raiola, the infamous Mino Raiola, who's the super agent that he doesn't
money
first.
He doesn't want his clients going to Man United.
Yeah, not if...
Thinks they're a dodgy club, apparently.
Is that what he said?
No.
No, he...
Basically what he said.
No, he apparently he was trying to hold him for ransom, basically.
No.
But he went to Borussia Dortmund instead. And apparently, I think the agent got like 10 million out of the deal.
Yeah,
or 15 million. And Haaland's father got like 10 million out of the deal.
Yeah, he's a gun.
I don't understand why.
I don't know why his father got the money. Because it's all going to the same family.
I didn't get it. But on retirement fund after breaking his leg.
I suppose. But anyway, he's a good agent. He knows how to make money.
But
that's all I can say about that one.
Yeah, I would have been quite happy to see Haaland come to United. I think he would have been the perfect fit for them, to be honest. But didn't happen. He's now in Germany.
I would have liked it because the two Norwegian...
they're joining forces. Well, he came to Manchester apparently, but they just couldn't get the deal across the line.
Oh, they let the Vikings down. Anyway, what's the other transfer?
The other big one is this is going to be brushed off thing, but it's in Italy actually.
The Ibra, yes. Zlatan Ibrahimovic.
That's right. Zlatan has gone back to Milan.
AC Milan.
It's where his home is apparently.
He loves the city.
Yeah.
He loves the city. It's where his home is. And
has he played for both Milans?
He has played for both.
He's played for both.
But AC Milan was the one that got him.
Yeah.
And I just think it's sad in a way that this 38-year-old man has to return to a club and save it.
Will he save it though?
Oh, well, it can't be just him. He's 38. I mean, he's still good, but Milan shouldn't be in this position. And the fact that they're getting him for that reason. This should be... Now I'm annoyed, right? Because this should be a send-off. He should have gone back to Milan as a career send-off. Like as a celebration of a career and him finishing up at Milan. Instead, he's going back there and they're asking him, can you save us? Can you bring us up the table? What? Why?
Can you save us from relegation?
No, it's
hard
to get relegated.
It's hard to get relegated instead, yeah.
But it's a disgrace that he has to go there for those reasons.
Well, it depends. If he does miracles, it would be pretty cool.
He's capable of miracles.
Developing story. We'll see how they go.
And why is Minamino's transfer
so small?
No. Why is it
under the radar?
No, because you said we've got 3 big transfers.
Yeah. What was that? The first one?
How is Minamino even in the league of Haaland and Ibrahimovic?
Well, Minamino coming from the same club as Haaland.
It was a small transfer. They paid little money.
It's a pretty big coup, actually.
It's a coup. I'll give you that.
Yeah.
But how is it a big... I don't know. I don't see it. It's a good one.
No, so
it's a good one.
It's just
not a big one.
There haven't been many signings yet in January. So those are the 3 biggest ones.
I would say it's a good signing, but it's just not.
But it is the 3rd biggest signing currently.
Yeah.
Going around.
Anyway,
because there's not much that has happened anyway. But you know what?
Yeah,
Manchester United should have done.
I felt I had to say it because I felt it was funny in my head.
This is more Liverpool hating again, but that's fine.
No, it was funny in my head.
But I'll tell you what Manchester United should have done.
What should they have done?
To sign Haaland. They should have taken him to a fish and chip shop.
Well, look, I must say a great meal is always underrated in these things.
In these day and age, and these
I know fish and chips don't see much, but in England it's a big deal.
And the reason we bring that up, League 2, is it?
League 2, yeah.
League 2. Holloway. Now, do you remember the name of the team? Because it is left me.
Grimsby Town.
Grimsby Town.
Yeah.
Grimsby Town of League 2 have signed ex-Premier League manager Ian Holloway. He's previously had a lot of English clubs that a lot of people that only watch the Premier League a little bit would never have heard of. But Blackpool was one of them. QPR twice. And look, he's quite a character, Holloway. And they
well, they sealed the deal by taking him to a fish and chip shop. So this man had a nice meal, he was in a good mood, and he signed the deal.
No caviar. You don't need lobster.
Well,
it's a budget.
Basically, yeah. Well, it's a League 2 club. Mike.
Yeah.
Because look, at the end of the day, they've signed this guy 2 wins from 2.
Grimsby Town will go far with that kind of efficiency with their money.
And I'm telling you, they were like very close to the relegation, so now there's a little comfortable gap. That's what a nice fish and chips will do. It's a good investment. A good meal.
Oh.
You can never underrate the importance of a good meal.
And the other big transfer news in the manager market, because there's been a few. Pellegrini out, West Ham.
Yes.
He was touted as the next to go. We said it was going to happen. It was inevitable.
Yeah, well, he was struggling.
And he's gone.
Yeah, who's in?
He's replaced by the guy he replaced. So they're going back to the ex.
David Moyes.
David Moyes.
David Moyes is back.
Except this ex wasn't sacked. Oh, he was kind of sacked, but he was like, we want to move on to bigger and better things. So we'll sign Pellegrini. Okay, we made a mistake. We'll bring you back. Come back. Save us.
See, that is just badly run, isn't it?
Oh.
Why would you move on to Pellegrini for bigger and better things? What's he done? He won the Premier. Did he win the Premier League with Man City?
Yeah, he did.
He did, but Man City's great
with Mancini's side. So
Mancini's
and he let him remember that. He let him. You don't let him forget that. He also won. I'm pretty sure with Real Madrid. I don't know if he won though.
Again,
he might have just been playing against Pep
teams.
and losing all the time. So it's hard to say.
Yeah. But
look, he's a reputable manager. He's one of those like he reminded me a lot of Arsene Wenger, to be honest. Like sort of being good, but not sort of at that next level and making too many mistakes, dropping too many points where they shouldn't have been dropped.
Recent Wenger,
yeah,
recent Wenger.
But even old Wenger, like once Chelsea took the game to another level, Arsenal dropped off and he couldn't keep up, and he sort of stayed at that level.
Was at the top at one point. So.
Yeah, just before Chelsea came in. Speaking of which, Mourinho playing at.
Is he happy? Still looking happy?
Oh no, he wasn't happy.
He's starting to get angry now.
They played against Southampton,
This is the time when he's saying to himself, "Why did I come back to management? I forgot how angry I used to be."
Well, he's the honeymoon's over at the moment, isn't it?
It is, isn't it?
And Abdul will be eating his words. But look, there's still time. It's January.
Well, he's still daddy.
Yeah, he's still daddy. But now Ancelotti's in, so I don't know if he's still daddy. But he has... What's happened? Well, he's got the January transfer window to do stuff, and he might have to do some work because Kane is now injured.
He is, isn't he?
And Lloris is still injured.
Lloris, that's
and they're about to play Liverpool. So
that's two big injuries, yeah.
And a third big injury because they've got to play Liverpool. But I think they're at home.
They are at home.
Which might be another injury because they played against Southampton at home. Did not go well for them.
Southampton's good on the road.
Oh, well, Southampton's just been good lately, and we will get on to Southampton in a moment because they're one of the big movers in the last few weeks. Them and Watford.
As a Watford, yeah.
Yeah.
Watford's coming.
Southampton a bigger mover, but Watford's still doing amazing things.
Well, Watford are getting the same sort of results, but they were just so far behind they can't really move up the table.
Well, they haven't had as many of them yet. Southampton, I think, has won 4 or 5.
Oh, right, yeah.
In the last 6 or 7 or something like that. Whereas Watford's won 2, I think. But they've stopped conceding goals, and they've somehow scored some. A few penalties in there, but a bit of confidence.
Well, they're right back in the race now to not be relegated, so that's good.
But Southampton,
yeah,
Mourinho was caught in the opposition dugout stealing notes.
I don't understand this. I really don't get it because as such a great manager as he is, why do you feel the need to steal? Can't you see what's happening on the pitch? I'm sure he can see. He understands the game.
I know, but you don't know where whose notes they were, do you?
They were Southampton manager's notes, right?
Not the Southampton manager. It was Southampton.
The assistant manager.
The goalkeeping coach.
The goalkeeper's notes. Well, so I didn't watch the game. So was he saving everything? And like this guy, I need to get these. I
don't know. Maybe he was anticipating a penalty at some point.
I see his notes. Yeah.
I don't know, but apparently. But
can't that information be obtained if it's a penalty? Can't you just do some research on this keeper, which way he dives?
Mourinho is just on the ball all the time. You know, he's just
he
working.
Wasn't that time because he snuck across.
He got caught.
Bench.
Yeah, he got caught.
How could you not catch him? He's right.
But the funny part isn't even him stealing the notes. It's the comments he made afterwards and asked about it. He what was it? I think they said
Well, he got
Yeah,
fined.
they said-
Or did he get fined or something?
I
like that?
can't remember what it was.
He said something like,
Well, they said
they said I was rude, and I
said
was rude,
I was rude.
but I was rude to an idiot. I'm like, okay,
That was
that's nice.
a double whammy. He was rude by trying to steal his notes, and then he was rude by calling him an idiot. I don't know where that's
Mate,
come
that
from.
must have been either he actually got stumped, which is very rare, or those notes were so good. Like he knew that the guy writing them.
It's like a book he can't put down.
Yeah, he knew that those notes just priceless, and he had to see them. Imagine that.
Oh, he could be giving his own keeper notes because he's not doing a great job at the moment. But
Oh well, when you're trying to clear the ball out of your box, with
It can be hard.
with karate kicks.
yeah, that happened during the break,
Was it
didn't
Taekwondo or something like that?
it? That was against.
I mean,
was that against Chelsea? It was against Chelsea.
yeah, well, the ball's in your box, so you can actually use your hands. Right? These are, I mean,
Those are the rules.
those are the rules. But apparently, he decided to maybe he did Taekwondo as a kid or something. He tried to just clear the ball and gives away a penalty. I mean, great stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, I love theatre. Don't get me wrong, but that's.
When you see it, it's one of those things that you think to yourself.
Well, as a neutral, it's funny.
Well, it's
As a neutral, it's funny. As a Chelsea fan, it's hilarious.
so.
As a Tottenham fan, you're just holding your head in your hands.
To give some context here, so one of the games that were played was Chelsea beating Tottenham. It was 2-0, wasn't it, in the end?
Yeah.
2-0. Another game where Lampard tactics did the
Yeah,
trick.
he's doing well.
And then he followed that up by losing to Southampton.
Well, Southampton, yeah.
And but being completely outplayed by Southampton too.
So that's
But
a good move.
they then in that game, this actually happened a few weeks ago. I think we've already talked about this on the podcast. But the funniest thing about it was the way that the the referee gave the free kick to the keeper first, and then because he just thought this is too surely I didn't see what I just saw.
I understand that. Because it happened very quickly. So
Yeah.
and normally when there's contact with the keeper,
You just go.
and the keeper goes
Surely
down,
that was a free kick.
and the
to
keeper goes down the
Yeah.
way he did. That's a free kick.
And then they
this
look
is
back.
this is an example why VAR is good
Yeah.
because you can actually review what happened.
You know what? I'm glad you brought up VAR.
Really,
But before we get to VAR,
VAR annoys me too. But anyway.
because another we've got a common denominator. We've got Southampton, right?
Yeah.
I just wanted to give out a shout out to Southampton and Hussein Hutul, the manager. I didn't say that correctly, but I don't care.
Is he German?
Yeah, he is German. He's I think one of those German-speaking countries like Swiss or something, or like,
Right.
or maybe he is. I think he might actually be
Is he
German,
Austrian?
but the name's
Yeah.
German anyway. Southampton, despite losing 9-0, despite losing, I think the 5-0 win there somewhere as well, stuck with their man, and
Yeah.
now
They've turned it right around.
they've really turned it around.
Yeah.
They're flying up the table. They are.
Where they sitting?
Well, they were mid-table. They're not quite in the top half, but I think they were for a brief moment. They're on 25 points now, just below Everton, above Newcastle.
So sitting in 12th position.
Actually, they've got an identical record to Newcastle, at least in terms of goal difference and points. But I'm not sure about the goals scored and conceded and all that. But they are absolutely killing it. And
well, they're in form. That's a good thing.
And part of that is, like you say, their away form, which is better than their home form. They've got 4 wins on the road, 2 draws, whereas at home they've only managed 3 wins and 2 draws. So it's not much different. But they've just, in the last few games, really turned it up a notch. First they did against the fellow relegation strugglers, but then they beat...
Well, that's when we started taking notice, when they started beating the good teams.
Well, I said that they could beat Chelsea, and
Yeah,
they did.
they did.
I didn't back myself all the way, which is my bad. But
I had something to do with that.
but yes, we had a shout out to Sheffield the other week, and this week the shout out goes to Southampton because they're doing some great. They're not even.
Well, it's a great turnaround. That's why we're shouting out. To
Yeah, they're not even in the discussion anymore.
Yeah.
And that moves Bournemouth into the relegation zone, with Aston
Yeah.
Villa, West Ham. In close proximity.
And Newcastle is starting to look shaky.
Well, Newcastle, like I said, same record as Southampmpton. However,
They're moving in
their
opposite.
form is they're moving completely opposite directions. Just a bit of contrast there with although Newcastle results they've lost I think 3 or 4 on the trot.
Yeah, it's pretty. It's looking grim.
And it's not even looked close in any of those games. So, they lost to Everton 2-1, obviously, but that was at home, and they hadn't lost at home since August. So
that's true.
That's a bad sign.
It is. It's as long as they can reverse this downward, because they're not in a terrible position at the moment. But they do need to reverse.
But their fixture list. Have you seen their fixture list?
I have not.
Oh, you have not seen their fixture list.
So they need to basically, what they need to do is reverse this downward spiral as quickly as they can against tough teams. That's what they need to do.
Well, they're not going to do it in the next few weeks. Remember how Everton had a tough run-in just before Silva got sacked?
Yes, I remember.
It was about 5 games. Okay, so Newcastle.
Who have they got?
They got Wolves away. So that's a tough one, just because Wolves are just...
scrape a draw. Come on, Newcastle.
They could scrape a draw, but...
That's what you want. Stop the losing.
Then they play Chelsea at home.
Oh, they can win that.
That's worse.
You know why they can win that?
If they played away, would have been a better chance. But Chelsea at home...
Yeah, but Chelsea are not good at St James's Park.
Aren't they?
That's what I've heard.
Well... was that something that ESPN said?
No. They legit have a bad record at that stadium. Anyway, they'll win that.
So then they play Everton.
Where's that game?
At Everton.
Yeah, they probably won't win that.
No, they won't.
Because they'll be on
Ancelotti.
They'll be on a high from the Chelsea victory.
And also,
come on.
Then they play Norwich at home. So
that's a win.
That's their so that's in February. So their January is a write-off.
They're gonna absolutely no.
Well,
they're gonna draw against Wolves.
Okay, the January is tough.
They're gonna beat Chelsea.
And they've got a FA Cup replay in there somewhere. So
against Rochdale,
yeah. So
they may have to play the kids.
I think that'll be at Rochdale too. No, that'll be at home.
Yeah,
home advantage. They'll be fine. After Norwich, it gets sporadic after that because then they play Arsenal away.
That's a loss.
Yeah, well, Arteta will have warmed up by then.
No, it's a loss. I'm saying.
Well, then they've got Crystal Palace away. So, like I said, it's up and down. Burnley. So they've got a few at home.
They'll win that.
And then they got Southampton away. So, it starts getting staggered there at the end. And then basically their last 5 games of the season, I think they play a top 6 team, then a winnable team, then top 6. So, it's checkered. And the last game of the season, they'll be playing the, up until that point, undefeated Liverpool at home.
Right. So if they're in the relegation zone, right, I can imagine Sunderland fans turning up to that game. Yeah.
If they're not in their own thing.
Well, Sunderland, they're in League 1. And they're not even in the playoff positions at the moment.
Which is the 3rd division for those who are unaware.
So I think they'll be quite happy to turn up to Newcastle.
Yeah. So so Newcastle, we will keep tabs on them because they're definitely heading in.
We hope they don't go down. We like Newcastle.
Yeah, well, they're too big for us to go down, but
and Sunderland as well, by the way.
Sunderland, yeah, we want them all playing the same division, but not the championship. So,
yeah.
But you mentioned VAR before.
Yes. What do you have?
There were a few incidents in our absence.
Of course.
So in the Chelsea Arsenal game, obviously we've already talked about the Jorginho double yellow, which was nothing to do with VAR at all. It was just a referee. But Wolves got absolutely shafted in both their games against Liverpool and Manchester City. The difference being that against Manchester City, they still won the game despite getting a double whammy. They had a penalty that was not given turned into a penalty thanks to VAR correctly. It was a...
Well, if it's correctly, then it's not really a whammy. It's just
But VAR,
VAR plays its part, but if VAR gets it right, I've got no issue when VAR gets it right.
Second part of the whammy, that very same penalty was saved by the keeper. But
it was encroachment. But
it was called back for encroachment. And the encroachment was into the semicircle. And I've always found encroachment sort of one of those, come on, you're calling it this time, but you didn't call it the other time. But I didn't realise that encroachment is actually all about whether the player influenced the play. It's like an offside, right?
Is that the rule?
Yeah, well, so if the player doesn't influence the play... No, influence the play like an offside. So, for example, because in this case, the player who encroached, Connor Cody, ex-Liverpool player, kicked the ball out.
You had to mention his ex-Liverpool.
He was captain of the youth team. He was.
You keep going.
Anyway, he's captain of Wolves now. He encroached and he cleared the ball. So that's obviously influencing the play.
Right. Yeah, okay.
Influencing the play.
I understand.
Right. So
well, that's it then. Then it was correct.
There were Man City players who also encroached, but they didn't influence the play. They didn't
well,
get to the ball.
So in the end, it's the correct decision.
So yeah, that's it. I think that too. But Wolves, of course, just intense. But they kept their heads down.
They did,
and they won the game.
No, that's credit to them. That's you got to give credit for that.
And that's been a cornerstone of this season. A lot of teams getting VAR decisions, stuffing them over.
When you got the Holy Spirit managing it, very
the Holy Spirit.
You can.
Espirito Sanchez.
Espirito Santo. Yeah.
Espirito Santo. Sorry,
yeah.
Nuno.
When you got that, you can keep your heads.
Yeah, that's it.
When you find the Holy Spirit, then you're back in the zone.
And
don't you worry about that.
And then, in the very next game, they went to Liverpool. Liverpool scored a goal, which was chalked off because of handball and the assist.
Handball, yeah.
However, went to VAR. Turned out it was not handball at all. It was the shoulder, clear shoulder,
and it was correct.
Very clear, and it was great assist from Adam Lallana. His first assist. It
was smart, wasn't it? Because players don't often use their shoulder.
Yeah,
but that was smart.
It was like one of those chest shoulders where he directs it towards, and just perfectly for Mane to score more fantasy points. You beauty, and and it was his first assist in 2 years, I think it was.
Well, that was a good way
through injuries.
You wait for assists like that.
Yeah,
worth the wait, that one.
It was good. And so the thing was, though, just before the Lallana shoulder, rather, Van Dijk sent a long ball through to Lallana, and there was talk about whether it touched his hand.
Right.
And
this is where the problem is.
So it turns out it was inconclusive at the time it happened. But they didn't check it with VAR because that doesn't go into the handball rule about if it touches the hand in the lead up to the goal. It has to be directly in the lead up. So it has to be either the assist or the player who scored the goal. And since Van Dijk was the pass before the assist, he's no longer part of the handball equation.
Right. I suppose that is fair because even though, if Van Dijk, I haven't seen it, if Van Dijk did indeed handball it, other players can influence the pass that he made to Lallana. So it makes sense that you wouldn't go back that far. Yeah,
you have to draw the line somewhere, and that's apparently where the line is. So once again,
I think that's fair.
Yeah, well, that's just the thing. So Wolves got stuffed over by VAR twice in 2 games straight against the top 2 teams. But once again in this game, they did go on to lose.
But didn't Wolves score a goal that was chalked off for offside as well against Liverpool? Right,
yes, there was that too. So they got a triple whammy there. That goal was offside by the heel of the player.
Yeah, it's amazing.
Actually, we'll get to that in a moment as well because there was another offside that was even worse than that one. In the game Burnley against Aston Villa. I'll just say also, Wolves kept their head up in that game and they dominated the second half.
Yeah, Wolves have been good.
And they were in that game all the way to the end. So, once again, kept their head down despite getting...
Good team.
Yeah, and a lot of teams have really just lost their head after VAR decision went against them and they lose the game. Wolves are not one... And Liverpool have also done that really well this season. Early in the season, they had a lot of VAR decisions go against them, but they kept going.
Do we have a Liverpool segment in this show?
Just a brief one.
Let's save all the pros until then.
Okay. So Burnley played against Aston Villa. Aston Villa won this game at a canter against Burnley. They needed this win. They got them out of the relegation zone. They were in the relegation zone before this game. Before this, the first goal they scored turned out to be chalked off, thanks to VAR. But it was an offside. But the thing about this offside was, first of all, it was like the stud of the boot of the... I don't know what it was. It was something stupid, right?
Well,
it was very small, but the worst part about it is it was a new phase of play.
The rules are rule.
No, but
rules are rules.
No. But here they went a step further.
A nose here, a nose there. It's all the same.
The phase of play had stopped.
Pinocchio would be offside every game.
Pinocchio. If only he played in the Premier League, that would be fantastic. To see this puppet going on the...
We need to be controlled by someone. Anyway.
Mourinho. But what was I going to say? So the thing about this one was they took it a step. Not only did they find this, the scraping of the boot, like a flake off the boot being... It wasn't that bad, but don't look at me like that. I'm going to have a heart attack. But
I'm not having a heart attack.
I'm having a heart attack. Because I think that you're just going to... Anyway. It was a different phase of play. So there was a Burnley attack. They made a pass. Something happened. Aston Villa got the ball, cleared it in between the offside and the eventual assist for the goal.
Right.
And for whatever reason, they counted that as part of the play.
So not leading up to the goal.
It was. I think it was too far removed. It should have been too far removed. But they went back. It was kind of like earlier in the season.
Now got incompetent people at VAR in this Heathrow Airport basement or wherever.
To be fair, it's taken half a season for something like this to happen. So at least this isn't a regular thing.
This is not hard. A different phase of play. How hard is this to?
Well, they never had full control over the ball. You know what I mean? It was one of those ones where it's like, I don't know. But
when you're on that thing, you let the goal.
Yeah, exactly. You let it go.
Come on.
You let it go. But
that's just,
I think it was too far gone.
That's what I'm
They're
saying.
like, oh no,
you're killing the soul of the game. The fans can't. So basically, this is true. As a person watching, when I see a goal, I'm like, was he offside? I don't even get up anymore.
Yeah, it is hard to get excited, isn't it?
How do you celebrate now?
Now, well, I just go whenever this. It's kind of like
I'm waiting for a stadium to just not roar when the goal goes in.
Do you ever have those?
If there is a tight thing, if there's a through ball coming in and it's tight and he scores, I'm waiting for no sound until.
But then you can celebrate.
It's confirmed by VAR, and then go, hey, like God's cheers.
Yeah.
That's what I'm waiting for.
But I do have to say, even before this whole VAR thing, it's like those moments where the ball goes in, like for the corners or the set pieces, it's like chaos in the box. Everyone's just sort of flinging their foot at it. You kind of like, you don't know what's going on, and the ball ends up in the back of the net, and you kind of go, was that a goal? Did something happen there? Was there a handball? Was there was there an offside? Anything could have happened there. This is before the VAR days, because often you get those situations. It goes in, but there was a foul on the keeper, or it hit someone's hand before they kicked it in, or the guy's standing a millimeter, there's a guy standing on the line, the goal line, and he interferes with play or whatever. Yeah. It's kind of like that now for those moments, but there's also that they get to celebrate a second time, and I have to say, which is kind of nice. They divide the celebration over two moments.
So we've scored the goal.
So we scored the goal, and now we need to confirm it. Yeah. But I have to say, it has been great in some moments, like when it's late in the game. In those 93rd minutes, there's been a few times this season this has happened, and the goal has gone to VAR. They score the goal, and they're like, yes, okay, oh God, is this a goal? Oh my God, is this... And then when the goal comes through, it's as if
it's genuine ecstasy.
It's just like, boom, and it's just like, yes, we've won the game, because when you score the goal in those moments, sometimes it's like too much, and you can't really feel the moment. You're like, what just happened? Did the goal just go in? I guess I scored. Yeah, I guess we should celebrate. There's too much going on. But now it's kind of like they've got to. They in those moments now they have time to gather their thoughts and just be full. Yes, I've just won the game for us. Yeah, and sometimes it goes the other way where it's disallowed. I'm saying where it's disallowed, and then they're like, there's no. Oh, I think I scored. It's like, it's been disallowed. And then
it's reviewed and scored.
But that's the thing. The review, it's not as simple. It's not like okay, we've decided. It's like you hear mumbles of, that looks like, I think this is going to be a goal. Like there's build up, and then they're just like, oh my gosh, this could actually, yes. So I think it's taken, but it has given a little bit. It's a different kind of excitement. It's not the same. I know you're a traditionalist. You love the old school way, which is fine. You've still got the League Cup. They don't have VAR. So you can watch more of that.
Not for long.
No, I'm sure they'll keep it because
Really?
in the weaker clubs they can't have VAR because they need cameras and stuff.
Yeah.
So I don't know how they're doing it in the FA Cup. But
maybe I should just watch community football.
all right, but look, we're not just here to complain about the things that are bad. We're here to look for solutions, all right? And changing the offside rule. There's been talk about things that could be done, and I think we've come to an agreement that a good change. And this may sound strange, right? But having a thicker VAR line. So the line for the last defender and the line for where the attacker is, right? If they overlap, it should be attackers benefit of the doubt, goal stands. Like that. Like it basically moves the line further forward. So it's still the same thing. There can still be a millimetre that keeps them onside. But if the element of doubt exists, the goal should stand. There is no doubt because they've got a perfect line. But and the reason I say that, because it's sort of counterintuitive. It's kind of like saying, oh, let's fudge the rules, even though we know it's offside, then we'll make it not offside, right? But that's not entirely true.
Well, there needs to be an objective assessment as to when the attacker has genuine advantage.
Which is why you have to have the lines.
And that's why we think the thicker line does that.
Well, no. So
there's overlap.
The objectiveness comes from just having a line full stop, right?
Yeah, well, the objectiveness with the advantage is if the lines do not overlap, there's thick lines, then we can say, okay, the attacker was an advantage here.
But it's still, even if the line is a millimetre long, thick.
No, you're right.
I think what you're trying to say is that because back in the day, as in last season, last season in the Premier League and a few seasons back for other leagues, offsides were given on a judgment call, right?
Yeah, by the linesman, and that's what we've been used to seeing, all the fans. And
even if the striker was slightly, you could probably. The thing is, as a linesman,
you can't see millimetres.
Well, you can and you can't.
You can't, not
right?
millimetres.
But you can see the millimetres. You kind of go, I think that's off. I think he's slightly in front.
If the linesman's seeing heels or noses and stuff.
But those were called onside.
Correct.
So the thing is, when VAR came in, even though technically the rules didn't change, the interpretation of offside did, because whenever there were the borderline calls, and generally speaking, because I've had a few things as a linesman, right? You have to do it when you play outdoor soccer. Then you can tell when someone's offside, even if it's by the smallest of margins, right? But then also sometimes, you're like, oh, was he slightly before, slightly on? That was too close. I'm not going to call it. You give also it's your team, so but you don't call it.
Generally, you give the benefit of the doubt.
If you see his toe standing in front, you just say, look, they're even, and that's it, and because they're close enough.
Well, that's what I'm saying. There needs to be some common sense here.
Yeah.
Like if you see the guy's toe in front, you call it. Well, okay, you're following the rules, but the rule is there for the advantage, for the attacker to have a genuine.
It's to stop cherry pickers.
So yeah.
And obviously you've got to make a line somewhere, but I guess what I'm saying here is that the rules were, like, even though the rules are, if any goal scoring body part of the striker is in front of the defender, a goal scoring body part of the defender, then it's offside, right? It's offside, but the actual interpretation of the rule is, if a goal scoring body part is in front of the defender, obviously, then it's offside. Like if there's an obvious part in front.
100%. The interpretation's changed. I don't like it. Not many people like it.
Which is while this outrage is coming out, because that was never a thing. Hopefully they address it. I think. I've heard a few voices saying. I've heard Klopp say it. I've heard the people at UEFA say it. I've heard a few other managers as well. No, but I'm talking about the thicker line adjustment.
Specifically,
and there seems to be a bit of.
I like the thicker line,
and
I think it'll solve a lot of problems.
The powers that be, I think, are also getting behind it as well.
When are they going
to make the change? Could be next season.
No, I want next week.
Can you imagine halfway through the season?
What are we doing?
Let's just change the offside rule.
I don't care about consistency anymore. I'm done. I want this. I don't like it.
But that's
the season's over anyway. Liverpool's won it. What are we doing?
Oh yeah, but there's other leagues as well. But and we'll just finish up.
I suppose you need consistency. I suppose
Consistency's out the window now. We'll just finish up with a little bit of talk about the league specifically. We said before there have been some changes. Watford are now on the cusp of leaving the relegation zone.
On this form, they will.
They are on 19 points. Aston Villa is on 21. Bournemouth is now in the relegation zone, and they are in terrible form right now. They can't score to save their life. They can't keep goals out to save their life.
It's very competitive down there.
Very competitive. They actually conceded 4 to West Ham, who were previously in the relegation zone in their place.
Yeah, Bournemouth's not looking good.
There's a bit of hopscotch going on now. There were some teams that were sort of hovering in the, like, look, we'll be fine. Those teams being West Ham, Aston Villa, Bournemouth. And now that Watford and Southampton have revved it up a gear, especially Southampton, it's turned them into another gear. That win, Aston Villa against Burnley, that was, I got to say, quite unexpected. With the form that they had,
very unexpected. But they needed.
But you knew they had it in them. That's the thing. They've been playing well enough to do it this season.
They've shown like all the teams, they've shown quality this season, but. Quality's only going to get you so far in this league. And
if you get caught sleeping, Burnley, I think, will be the next on that list. That they're in 15th on 24 points. It's very tight.
Yeah.
Look,
it's very competitive.
Everton, Southampton, and Newcastle on 25 points. They are as close to a Europa League spot as they are the relegation zone. That's and they're only 1 point further away from 5th place, Manchester United. Manchester United in 5th place. Wow, that's
good.
Didn't think I'd.
It's good for them,
especially after losing this week. That's they've done well to do that. Chelsea is only 5 points clear of Manchester United, so that gap is closing. Leicester remains in second. Liverpool are 13 points up with a game in hand. That's basically the praise. Look,
they've been sensational this season. They played. That game against Sheffield United, that was just another great performance.
Yeah,
and Sheffield weren't bad in that game. They weren't bad, but Liverpool just great performance.
Just a complete performance.
Quick ball movement.
Yeah,
it's on another level. Like their ball movement is on another level to the other teams. It's very quick passing. They know what they're doing.
Sheffield had nothing basically. They like playing against possession sides, but. Liverpool were that good.
They were that good that they just didn't give them anything.
They got nothing.
And that's not an insult to Sheffield.
No.
Sheffield were good, but Liverpool was so good that they just didn't let them have anything.
And Sheffield, one of 4 teams recently that have played Manchester City and Liverpool in consecutive games.
Wolves did it.
Wolves did it. Sheffield did it. Leicester did it. And I can't, for the life of me, remember the other team that did it. So yeah, Sheffield, Wolves. Those 3. Yeah. Probably was just those 3. I think Everton. No, because I'm thinking the FA Cup. It's smashing it all together.
So,
I mean, technically they did it too.
You're trying too hard.
They did it too, actually. Because they played Man City in the league and then Liverpool in the FA Cup, so they actually did do it. So it's a weird fixture list, isn't it? But. And they're all high up the table too, so maybe it's part of it. They hadn't played those 2 teams for a while, and they picked up the points.
Do you reckon Liverpool will go the season unbeaten?
I don't think so, for the reason that I don't think that's at the top of their minds. Look, I think the game will be in April.
Against Man City.
Because
at the Etihad as well.
And that's roughly around the time they will have won the league if they're still undefeated at that stage.
Well, that's the thing. Like, if they win the league early, which is looking likely at the moment, I reckon they are going to go for the Arsenal Invincibles tag. They want to join Arsenal.
You think so?
They'll go for it
because
they're proud players. I mean, they're going to have something to play for. If they're still unbeaten by the time they win the league, they're going to go for it.
Well, I don't think it's going to happen, but I do think they can do it because if they don't win a game, they're not going to go all out to win it. So if they're not winning a game, they're not going to go all out. They're happy to take the draw if they know they're being beaten. If that makes sense. So
well, that's true as well.
If the other team's on top, Liverpool doesn't lose their head. They don't go, all right, we've got to throw the kitchen sink at it. They push, they press, but
it's almost like they accept it. They accept that, okay, in this game they're on top of us, and they deal with that. They don't, because that's part of it, isn't it? If they don't accept it, then it's like, well, we've got to get back on top. That's how you lose your heads, and then you can lose the game.
Yeah, and you can open up a bit, and if the moment's not there, they know when the moment's not there, and they manage the game so well. It's just insane what they're doing. The consistency, they're just churning out these results, and to see their kids beat Everton as well. I mean, that's sort of the like. You
got to be excited for the future, don't you?
Well,
to see that your young kids beating an Everton side.
I mean,
that's pretty.
I mean, it's just funny,
and they controlled the game for long periods as well.
Yeah, well, that's what I mean. It's now become sort of the ethos of the club, and that was predominantly what they were like under 23s. That was probably half the team that played in the Villa game, except the other half was experienced players. As opposed to the Villa game where the other half was even younger players and the bench was even younger players than that. So,
but even so, just to follow up on Ancelotti, he did say he specialises in beating Liverpool.
Yes.
All he could come out with after the game, the secret is you got to score more goals than him.
And it's true.
It's true, but I thought it would be something more.
Something cleverer?
Yeah.
But
he was just stirring the pot.
Yeah, he was stirring the pot. He probably did it with a big smirk on his face, and he was probably thinking about the pizza he was about to eat. But that is a wrap for this week. Next week we have. I'm not going to make any promises about people appearing on the show because that just backfires every time. The big games next week will be Tottenham playing against Liverpool. Not because it's a competition for spots, but because, well, Mourinho has to sort of turn this around at some point, and
he does, yeah.
And it's one of the big games for Liverpool to see if they can keep their unbeaten run. Manchester City, on the other hand, travel to Aston Villa, so there's not much going on there, and Leicester are home to Southampton, which will be interesting.
Very interesting, because they did win 9-0 last time. We'll see how much Southampton have improved. But there is a big game in Italy.
There is a big game in Italy. Yeah. Is Ibrahimovic playing in that game? No, it's not. It's the Blue.
It is.
The Blues.
It is the battle for Lombardi. I mentioned this. Inter is playing Atalanta at home.
The black and blue stripes playing together.
Yeah.
We need a black and blue stripe team in the Premier League.
Do you?
We do.
You need black and blue.
There are teams, but they're too far down.
Yeah, well,
it's going to take a while.
Yeah. Can you imagine the fans partying in Milan after the game?
Yeah, I know. Abdul will be thrilled.
Oh, I'll be thrilled.
His team.
This is funny for me. This is actually funny for me.
We might have Abdul next week, but on that note,
that's a wrap.
That is a wrap. Thank you for listening up until this point. If you have not already subscribed to the new and renamed Cosmic Commentary Real Football Podcast, please do so. We also have a YouTube channel where we will get new videos eventually, but there's a few up there already, so feel free to have a look at those. If you're looking for which team to follow, I hope everyone has had a happy new year, and we will talk to you next week.
Talk to you then.